So here in this video we will discuss about total knee replacement in a valgus knee deformity. So firstly we will discuss some peculiar features of a valgus knee deformity. It is more commonly seen in a rheumatoid knee. Varus deformity was most commonly seen in osteoarthritis. Valgus deformity is more commonly seen in rheumatoid arthritis. Plus clinically we have a hyperextension deformity along with the valgus deformity. So valgus deformity has hyperextension associated with it, while varus deformity has flexion deformity associated with it. Plus the valgus deformity or the lateral compartment disease, it can tolerate larger amount of the structural damage and better also than the varus knee deformity of comparable severity. So a varus knee patient will present to us earlier in the OPD, while the valgus knee patient will present to us late in the OPD. So in the OPD, other than the X-rays, the AP and the lateral joint weight bearing, knee joint X-rays, we will go for the skyline view to look for the patellofemoral involvement or any dysplasia in the patellofemoral joint. Now the distinction between the valgus and the varus knee. So firstly, the source of deformity. So in case of a varus knee, it is the medial tibial plateau which is deficient and the tibial joint line is in significant varus. So the varus knee deformity comes from the tibia. In valgus knee, the deformity it comes from the femur. The tibia is usually in neutral or even in a classic 2 to 3 degree of varus, and the femur is in marked valgus. So valgus, it is the femur which is involved, and in case of varus deformity it is the tibia which is source. Even in case of a femur, it is the hypoplasia of the lateral femoral condyle which is seen both distally and posteriorly. Also, as the valgus deformity it progresses, the MCL which is on the medial side, medial collateral ligament, it becomes attenuated. So this allows the deformity to increase, and at times the lateral femoral condyle it erodes the lateral tibial plateau in its central portion. So with time the lateral tibial plateau is also involved. So this is the various types of the valgus deformity depending upon the severity. So in case of the more severe cases, we can see the attenuation of the MCL and involvement of the lateral tibial plateau. Now coming about to the modification in a total knee replacement while doing this surgery in a valgus knee patient. So firstly we will discuss the bony cuts, and then we will shift to the soft tissue releases. So in bony cut, first is the distal femoral cut. So in normal cases we go for a 5 degree of valgus, and we take a 9 mm cut because of the thickness of the implant is 9 mm. So in severe valgus knee, it demonstrates a hypoplasia of the lateral femoral condyle. So surgeon must resist the temptation to resect back to this level of deficiency. So if this is the femur, and here we have the tibia in the extension, this is the lateral side, this is the medial side, and this is the extension view. So we can see the hypoplasia of the lateral femoral condyle. So we will take a cut bearing the normal medial femoral condyle. We need not to resect back to this level. So we will take the cut from the medial femoral condyle bearing 9 mm. And if there is deficiency is remaining on the lateral side, it can be augmented. So the cut will remain the 9 mm from the medial femoral condyle. Now the degree of the cut. So normal cases we are taking 5 degree of valgus, but in case of a valgus deformity patient, we will take a less than 5 degree of valgus. So it will be less than 5 degree valgus, and in severe cases we even shift to the 2 to 3 degree of valgus. So why we are choosing less of valgus? Because we are trying to overcorrect the deformity so that the pathologically stretched and abnormal MCL are put under less tension during the weight bearing. So we are trying to overcorrect the deformity so that the MCL and the medial capsule, they are put under less tension. And also, if the distal femoral cut it doesn't touch the lateral femur as we have discussed, we need not to resect the additional femur, because this will raise the joint line also and will create a patella baha condition. So distal femur cut, we will take a less than 5 degree of valgus, and we will take 9 mm from the medial femoral condyle, which is the unaffected side. Now talking about the posterior femoral cut. So normally we take a 3 degree of external rotation while taking the posterior femoral cut. So if the surgeon is making the femur rotation by a posterior referencing, so we take a 3 degree to compensate for the differences in size between the medial and the lateral femoral condyle. Now in case of a valgus knee, we have a hypoplasia of the lateral femoral condyle. So now we have to increase our external rotation to prevent the internal rotation of the femoral component. So we will go for the 5 degree of the external rotation. So we can see here, so this is we want to achieve. This is normal, which is 3 degree of the valgus, so that we can normally we go for 3 degree of external rotation. But in case of this hypoplasia of lateral femoral condyle, we have 5 degree of valgus, so we will go for the 5 degree of external rotation. And also here we can see in the extension view that this is the normal, and we were taking 9 mm cut, but here we are having hypoplasia of the lateral femoral condyle, so we will take 9 mm from the medial femoral condyle, and we need to augment if there is any bone loss. So posterior femoral cut, it is taken in 5 degree of external rotation. Now talking about the tibial cut, as the deformity is in femur and tibia is unaffected, so tibial cut will be similar to the occasional TKR. Now coming to the soft tissue releases, now we know that in valgus deformity it is the lateral side which is tight. So if the lateral side is tight in extension, we will go for the cruciform release in the retinaculum and the iliotibial band. So we should make sure that in this case that lateral superior genicular vessels are isolated and preserved, because the medial sided vessels are already cut because of the parapatellar approach. So medial side vessels are already cut. So we need to save these lateral genicular vessels. So in case of lateral side tightness in extension, we will go for the cruciform release of the iliotibial band. In case of lateral side tightness, in case of flexion, we will go for the LCL release. So lateral tightness in flexion is very rare, so it is equally rare to perform this release. So this is about the soft tissue releases. So now to do the soft tissue releases, we should know the lateral side anatomy. So deeper we have the LCL, popliteal fibular ligament and popliteus muscle, and superficially we have the iliotibial band, we have the hamstring, and we have the lateral head of the gastrocnemius. Now if the valgus deformity is very severe, it is associated with the flexion deformity. In those cases we can go for the biceps femoris release, but it is very dangerous because the peroneal nerve, it is lying under the same region and it is under longitudinal tension, excessive longitudinal tension. So in case of flexion deformity associated with valgus deformity, biceps femoris release is recommended, but it is very dangerous because of the risk of injury to the peroneal nerve. So this is all about the total knee replacement in a valgus knee. So we have discussed the bony cuts, we have discussed the soft tissue releases, and we have discussed the peculiar features in a valgus knee patient.